JavaScript takes a lot of the uh, pointers, a lot of the definitions, a lot of the, if you were to compare it to C++, it's a substantially simpler version in language form, because you really don't have to define any vars. You don't have to really initialize anything. You don't have to worry about pointers or memory space, or you don't really have to worry about any of that. JavaScript takes care of a lot of things. That's why it is a scripting language, and it is interpreted. jQuery is a bunch of libraries that make and allow you to have your HTML code and your Java code combined, JavaScript code combined, so that it looks very, very pretty. Your websites, your web pages, and your interfaces really pop with jQuery because of the libraries that you're able to grab to highlight, underline, bring into 3D mode, have moving and motion in your on your pages. You name it, you can do it using jQuery, whether it be sorting or searching, whether it be taking a simple HTML page and making it look very professional. And all jQuery does, it sits on top of your HTML code, if you will, and it uses its standard set of libraries that are available out there, free to download for everyone, and you don't even really have to write anything. All you have to do is to know how to use those libraries right within and integrated with your HTML code, and you're able to make applications and your websites look really, really nice. JavaScript allows you to add intelligence to your HTML code by allowing you to write very simple scripts, have it understand vars and loops, looping structures and objects, if-then statements and for-next loops, and it kind of makes very similar, it makes your code very workable, very usable, very user-friendly style of coding. And since it is an interpreted language, you really don't have to worry about overstepping your bounds when it comes to threading. You don't have to worry about anything to do with threading or connection pooling or really any of that. Inside of here, I have some. Give you an example of what jQuery will do. Now take a look here. I'm going to bring up this page in HTML. Okay. So this is simple HTML, as you can see, and what I'm going to do is I use an editor called Edit Plus, and I've got in Edit Plus, let me bring up the plain HTML. So here is what I'm showing you on screen right here. You see section 1 is listed here, section 2, section 3, and so on. This is very plain, although you can see the information, and yeah, this is of course garbage. As you can see, you can't read it. The whole purpose of this is just to demonstrate what jQuery can do. You see section 1, section 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, you can see it, you can read it. Here it is how it's normal HTML. You have a body tag. It is a accordion type. That is just an ID for the divider. Here's a header tag for sections, and then some information in each one of them. This is really nice. It's really plain, but it really doesn't help. So to give you an example of what jQuery can do. So here, for example, I'm grabbing some jQuery scripts off of this source inside of my environment, and I actually, in this particular instance, here I am grabbing it from this source. These are just libraries that I'm grabbing, And same exact data and same exact text, if I was to browse it, right there. Come on. There you go. Look at this. Really, really nice, making it pretty as opposed to the way. This is the script that made this. Here it is in plain HTML. And here's what it looks like when you're using jQuery to accomplish the same exact task. I can give you another example. Here, for example, is a Accordion Hover. I've got a mouse over. In this particular instance, again, I'm using the same exact set of libraries. I'm using the bind and unbind methods associated with my current object. And then I'm creating some event handlers and such. Yes, this looks complicated, but trust me, it's not in the big scheme of things because of what you're able to accomplish. So here I am just hovering over. Instead of clicking on anything, I'm just hovering over the sections and it's opening them. Let's go back to basics. So here I've got very, very basic HTML code. I have a HTML header that says that the doc type is HTML. This is a default beginning of HTML code and HTML syntax. This right here, this line right here is not required. Neither is this line right here, the one that says HTML lang en. These are standard naming conventions, if you will, and tags under HTML. If you want to follow standard, and everybody does, you want to start the document in this manner, followed by your HTML and the language. Now, the reason the language attribute is here is because many browsers, IE included, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Apple, Safari browser, all of them have language translators, and they use the information in this tag to determine what language is the page in first before they start to scan the page to determine the type of text that's in there so that they can decipher and distinguish and then translate that page to a different language. For example, if I had this in Denmark in Danish, or if I had it in Turkish, or if I had it in Italian like IT, it would the web browser would ask me if I want to translate the page in English, and it would try its best to translate everything on it. This is the header tag. Now the header tag, you open and close tags just like this. These tags right here, the doc type tag, is the only one really that doesn't have a ending, if you will. And the closing tag, if you look on the bottom, HTML's closing tag is right here. It is /HTML. That this is opened up with HTML. So this tag right here opens and closes, opens on line 2 and closes on line 31. The header tag, as you can see, is opening and closing right there. Style tag in between is closing like so. And the body tag opens and closes like so. And then there's a script tag in the middle. So let's explain what's going on here. The header tag, here's a meta character set. Now, as you can see here, the meta tag does a short close right here. This is the one-line opener and closer. I could have separated this into second line and written out closing meta tag like this, but this closes it in the same line. When you have a right slash and a greater than sign, it will close this tag out. If the tags are not opened and closed properly, the entire page won't run. It's very, very possible and very common for websites and web pages not to work because of a simple flaw like that. You'll be surprised at how many pages and sites I've fixed because of a closing tag not being there, or the opening tag not being there, or something really basic is not there, like a quote is missing, or the quote is open with a double quote and closed with a single quote, or this character set is not found or not defined. and so on. A lot of simple errors can cause a world of hate, if you will. So here's a title tag. Now this title tag shows on the browser in the header. So if I was to go over to my JS page, and if I right click over here and I open this in IE, and this thing says click me, and it says hello world. The title tag displays this hello world right here on the title of the browser. Title of, in this particular case, the title of the tab. If I go back to the code right here, and I was to comment this line out, and I commented out by doing this, by doing this, and hyphen greater than, and I save this, go back to the browser, and I do a refresh, you'll notice the title tag went away, and now it's just displaying the location of the file and the name of the file, which is not something, obviously, not something you want to display. So if I go back to my little source code, I remove the comment out, which is what that was, and I remove the comment out. I save the page, go back to the browser, do a refresh, and the title tag is back. Right? This right here is, as you can see, says hello world. That is displayed right here. It says hello world, and the reason it's in pink is because this style right here and the closing style defines the style for the H1 tag, which is this one right here, and it defines the style for the button tag, which is this thing right here. Okay. It also describes the font size and the color right here. So if I wanted to make this black, and I wanted to change this to 30, and I want to save this, go back to my browser, do a refresh. As you can see, it's black, and it's much bigger. Right? Very, very simple to manipulate the style. Change this around, make it red. Now, of course, every color can't really be defined in this particular instance. There are 6 hash codes that you can learn. They're all in hex that describe how red, how yellow, and how blue you want something. And based on red, how black, and how blue you want something, and based on the combinations of red, green, blue, and combinations of those dictates how the color comes out. But common colors like red and yellow and green and blue and purple and pink and hot pink are all sitting there. So here it is, the button color right here is red. I can just as easily say font size here and make it, 50 pixels, like so. Save this and change the color of this from red to yellow, very ugly. Do a refresh. There you go. So it's very easy to manipulate this. Now this is the style tag. If I remove the style tag, so if I took this and moved it down here, went back and did a refresh, this is how it's normally displayed without any style. So I just took the entire style tag out, and it changed the behavior and the look, and not behavior, but it changed the look and feel of the actual code. There's also something interesting. We're dealing with HTML5, since that's what I've got on this machine. This is a Windows 8 box. There are many different things that I can do to manipulate and show how things behave on different browsers. To give you an example, inside of my code, I want to show you something. I'm just going to write something simple. I'm going to create a input tag, and I'm going to say input. Wait, I'm going to do a label DOB for date of birth, and then I'm going to do an input tag, and I'm going to say it is of type date, and I'm going to ID it date of birth, and I'm going to close it. And I'm going to say placeholder and select DOB. Okay. Save that, do a refresh. Now look at how this looks in look at how this looks in Chrome. When I click on this, I have the entire calendar at my disposal, and I'm able to select, whatever date I want, and I can also manually type the date in. Okay, I can do up and down arrow like this, select something I want, up and down arrow like that, and I can go here and take a look at the whole calendar. Now, exact same piece of code in IE, when I do a refresh. Look, it says select DOB, and I don't have the option for a calendar. Exact same piece of code behaves differently depending on what browser you're dealing with. And in this case, as you can see, drastically differently when you're selecting, in this case, the date. This can be a big difference between the user's experience. So when a particular website says this site is best viewed in IE or best viewed in Chrome, this is kind of what they're talking about. We have tested this or written this for Chrome, if you will. So here I've got Hello World and Click Me. Now Click Me is a button, right? And then there's a script over here. And it says, it creates a variable called button. Okay? And it's going to do it creates a document, and it does what's called a query selector. It issues a query selector method looking for button. Okay? And it will find wherever this button is. And what it's going to do is it's going to assign wherever this button is, it's going to assign a value, because this entire line of code here returns a value that is stored in the button var. Then the button var is issued what's called an event listener that listens for the click event. And it issues a function where a value is passed in, an event value is passed in, and then it simply sends out an alert that says hello, and it returns a value of false. In other words, nothing's wrong, I'm just done, I don't need to stay there. And the script ends at that point. This is a beginning and ending of the script with 1 or 2 lines of itty-bitty code. And then it ends the body tag right over here. And then it ends the HTML tag right up there. Now let's see what happens when I take the HTML tag out. I'm just going to make a comment here. Turn that into a comment right there. Save that. Go back. Do a refresh. Right here, I'm going to do a refresh. Now, when I do a refresh over here, as you can see right over here, the actual page still continues to work. The HTML tag consists of, it thinks it's optional. Now, this was not the case in earlier versions. Let me highlight this. I want to show you exactly where it fails. This was not the case in earlier versions of HTML. Okay, I have remarked out the body tag as well. And let me remark out the script tag. Like so. Save that. Oops. Will work as expected. Save that. Go back here. Go back here. Do a refresh. Click me. Works just the way it's supposed to. Now look at this. It says JavaScript alert. Hello. This is not normally the way you want things. You want proper alerts to be displayed with proper logos, pretty colors. Hello should be nice in better font. All of those things jQuery can help you do greatly. Now, arrays inside of JavaScript are created like so. So here's a variable called foo that is of array type. Okay? So this is one way to create an array using what's called a constructor. You can also create an array using a array literal syntax, which is putting in open and closed brackets. This bar is also going to be an array. Foo will also be an array. You can also do foo like so, and that simply means that there's a number 100 inside of the array. Here, I can specify there's only one value in here, and the first value contains the number 100. The first value in an array is a value 0 right here. So when you do an alert on foo of 0, in other words, display me the first element inside of the foo array, it will display you 100. Here, if you display the length of the array, it will tell you that it's 1, because I saved and stored only one element in here. If I specify new array like so, just put in 100 in there. Here, I specify tell me what bar of 0 is, because it hasn't been defined yet. It says it hasn't been defined because you haven't stored anything in the first element of the bar array. You've created an array and initialized it to be 100 elements, but you have not told me what the first element is. If I chose to display the length of the array, it would tell me that there are 100, you've specified 100 elements. Here's a way to do push and pop in this particular instance. Creating a generic array with no limitation and putting in A and B in here, and that's putting things inside of this array. If you can imagine pushing A and B into elements 0 and 1. So here's 0 and element 1, and that places by doing a foo push, you are putting element A inside of the first element, and you're putting B inside of the second element. And now here you can check to see how big the length of the array is. When you do pop, you are able to display, when you do pop, it will pop out the first element. Now push goes from top to bottom. A goes in first, B goes in next. Pop starts from bottom up. Whatever the last element you pushed in is the first element that will get pushed out. So when you do pop over here, it undefines the second element. So if you try to display foo of 1, it will say, I don't know what that is, because you just popped it or took it out. It will still have what is in the first element of the array. Here's the length of the array. It will show you that the length of the array is 1 and not 2, the way it was up here after you pushed these couple of items in there, since you took one of them out. Here's a way to unshift. Okay. What this will do is it will place a Z inside of the first element, and it'll put A inside of the second element. Okay. A way to go up from top. Again, it gives you back the length. And here's a way to do shift. If you specify shift, it will say A in the 0 element, and 1 will be undefined. Okay. A real simplistic lesson in arrays in this case. Arrays and the way shift and unshift, creating an array with a constructor with a literal syntax as well. Boolean values, very simple, true or false, just like so. There's also white space. Now, much like other languages, it's preferable to have white space in your syntax, and because it makes the syntax more readable, much more readable. This exact piece of code can be written out like this, but it makes it much harder to read. And JavaScript or the interpreter does not care whether you wrote it like that with a bunch of spaces in it, or you wrote the code out like this. It will run the same, except this is much easier to read and debug. Comments are written out like so. You can do single line comments with the 2 forward slashes, like so. And you can do multi-line comments like so, by doing a slash asterisk and then doing an asterisk slash. Here are some types. Here's assigning 3 values here in an array. And when you do a my value and assigning 3 values to an array, If you specify that if is my value a string, as you can see, these are 3 equal signs and not 2. So this says that it is not a string, it is not a number, it is not undefined, and it is not Boolean. And here you're asking if it's a null, and it says no, it's not null. Here you can check to see is function, if it's a function, if it's a plain object, or if it's an array, and this is where it says true, that my value is indeed an array, because that's how you described it. It's an array that contains 3 elements. Element 0 will be 1, element 1 will be 2, and element 2 will be 3. Right. Now inside of jQuery, let me show you a couple of other options here that I think you're going to find interesting. Here is what I've considered droppable. Come on. Okay. jQuery, this code right here, here's a draggable and droppable item. Okay. And what I've got is, I've got the ability to drag and drop this right in there. Notice? And it just changes it from drag to dropped. And when I do a refresh on the page, it will change to the way it was. Let me close this out and open it again. So here right now it says drop here, and I drag it and drop it, and it says it's dropped. If I go back to the code, jQuery is handling a lot of that. Now all of that, I know it seems rather mundane, if you will, in practice. But it is quite simple. In this particular instance, I'm using a lot of jQuery code to, and here I am tagging the draggable and the droppable. This is nothing more than simple HTML right here. Okay. Simple HTML, specifying a border and a radius and specifying a background. Creating a function right here and having a draggable and a droppable target, that's where the jQuery comes into the picture. Very, very simple, very, very easy code, and of course you can apply it to really anything. And once it's dropped, it understands that it has actually been dropped in that case. So here it understands, for example, find if it was dropped and change the HTML to say dropped for the current object. Let me show you something else inside of jQuery that I think you're going to find interesting. Here's 3D. Here we go. Falling leaves. This is kind of cool. I think you're going to like this. So here, and I click Start. Check this out. This is jQuery doing this. As you can see, it just shows falling leaves, and it's just random. You can specify the time duration. You can specify how many leaves you want to fall, if you will, how you want to drop. Very easy to do. Imagine the type of code. Here is the code, really simple code. Here's October leaves, which is what it's grabbing. Here's a start and stop. The image is grabbed from the code as well. Here's a style sheet, 3D leaves. Here's the leaves that it's grabbing the picture of, leaves PNG. There it is right there. As you can see, it's a PNG. I can't really look at it in this thing. It's a text editor that it's grabbing. And that's how easy it is to make this thing pop. I can stop them just like so, and then start them again. It is very, very cool, very powerful, and there's a rotate. That's what's making the leaves rotate. You can see the leaves are different kinds and different shapes and sizes, and it actually seems like they're actually falling. And you can make this really out of anything. So that was a really quick demonstration